So what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic weekend. I hope everything's going great for you on FC24. And yeah, today we have some 4-4-2 custom tactics and player instructions for you guys, which I really hope will help you out if you are struggling in any type of game. Just before we get started though guys, I would appreciate it if you could drop this video a thumbs up, as it does really help me out. I've been falling out with the YouTube algorithm recently, so would really help me out. Also, sub to the channel if you are new, and don't forget to turn on notifications. I'd also like to apologise that there'll be no gameplay in this video. I'll look to implement more tomorrow, but I'm just really running out of time, so I do apologise. And yeah, let's get right into the video guys. If you guys want coins for FC24, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code Rema, you can get yourself a lovely 5% discount. Alright then guys, so starting off with the custom tactics for today. So for the defensive style, we have this on balance. This is because it gives you the best control over your defense. So when you want to press and be aggressive towards your opponent, you can, and then when you want to drop back and be a little bit more passive, you can also do that. When it comes to applying pressure in this game as well, we don't actually have to use any of these pressure tactics. There's something else which we'll get onto in a moment, so just keep this on balance for now. Moving on to the defensive width guys, something I've told people a lot recently is it's better to have a more narrow and compact defensive width, in my opinion. The reason for this is people always go for these cutbacks, and they'll do it regardless of whether or not you have your width higher. So I think it's better to at least have your width lower, so you can at least block out all those attacks through the middle, and then when somebody wants to go for a cutback, just manually pressing out a little bit further wide. So that's my suggestion, but you guys don't have to follow that if you don't want to. Now moving on to the depth guys, this is the thing that I was on about when it came to the pressure in this game. So if you are in the new gen version of FC24 and you have your depth on 71 or higher, you'll basically get this automatic press from the AI. It is a very strong press, very overpowered, and the game basically defends for you. Now what makes this really broken as well is the fact that you don't really get a stamina drain, and it completely breaks your opponent's attacking AI. So this is something I've been saying I hope's fixed for a long time now. I don't think EA will do much about it, and basically if you're on the new gen and you're not using this, you're basically handicapping yourself, unfortunately. That being said, if you are on the old gen version of the game, you can have your depth on 55 to 60 because this 71 depth thing is new gen only. Now moving on to the build-up play guys, I have this on balanced. Gives you the most varied and controlled form of build-up in my opinion. So when you're using balance, you can play slowly if you want, you can play quick, you can play a mixture, so you can pretty much use whichever form of build-up you want whenever you want, which is why I personally like balanced. You can use whatever you want however. Moving on to the chance creation guys, we've got another boring tactic here, but it is very necessary, and that is direct passing. Now the reason direct passing is so important is because it's the only tactic which will help you beat those park the bus defenses, as it's the only one which will give your players the correct movement to do so. When you use direct passing, your attackers will make these initial runs, the defenders will follow the attackers run, and then the attack will track back so you can cut back to them. It's very overpowered, a little bit boring, but very necessary in the current state of this game guys. Moving on to the attacking width guys, I don't like making my attack too wide. I like adding my own width when I want to add width, because if my players feel too far apart, I struggle to make any attacks. So I like to have a more narrow width, and then when I want to go out wide, I can do that and make use of an overlapping player, which we'll get onto in the instructions. Moving on to the players in box guys, I have this on 6. This is so we can get quite a few players into the box to help us finish off our chances, but we still have quite a few players back, so if we lose out on possession, we're not always going to get counter-attacked. And as for the corners and the free kicks guys, this is a preference thing, but I prefer to have these both on 2. You guys can do whatever you want with that. Sorry to interrupt the video guys, but I have noticed around 90% of you that watch the videos are not subscribed to the channel, so if you are enjoying the content or finding it helpful, please consider adding that subscription, as it does help me out massively. Also don't forget to drop a like on the video as well, and with all that aside guys, I hope you enjoy. Let's continue. Now moving on to the player instructions guys, might seem a little bit boring, but we have them both on stay central and get in behind. Now we have them on stay central because they are our strikers of course, so we don't want these players drifting out wide typically. We want them to stay in the middle so they're always in the correct positions to help us finish off our chances, which is their primary job. We also have these players on getting behind because in the current state of this gameplay, getting behind is super important, especially when your opponent is running that 71 depth. They're going to have that higher defensive line, so the getting behind instruction is your best bet at beating that press, as it will get you as many chances as possible. If you don't like this, however, you can put them on mixed attack. It is completely up to you. I sometimes do that if I feel like I'm not getting enough in the build-up, but by default I just have them on get in behind. Moving on to the right mid and the left mid, guys, we have them on come back on defense, cut inside, get in behind, and get into the box for cross. Quite a mouthful there, but come back on defense is very important because it ensures that they will fill in the correct position when we don't have the ball. If you have players on basic defensive support and they don't have that high defensive work rate, without this comeback defense instruction, come back on defense instruction, these players can be lazy and not sit in the best position. So it can almost feel like a 4-2-4. So it's best to have this on come back on defense so you ensure that you keep that correct defensive shape. Cut inside is useful because it helps these wider players get closer to the strikers by making those inverted runs. So they'll often start out wide and then make those inverted runs, which can be very difficult for your opponent to mark. We also have them on getting behind, so they look to utilize their pace in the same way the strikers do to get in behind that high defensive line, which a lot of people are using. And then get into the box across is also very useful because it means these players will not hesitate to get into the penalty area and help you out. If you have them on balance crossing runs, they can be a little bit static and not too useful when you are in the penalty area. Moving on to the right centre mid, guys, I use a more defensive minded player here, so my more defensive minded midfielder. I suggest having at least one stay back defensive player, somebody with a medium high work rate, somebody like Shuameni, basically an absolute rock. So on this player, stay back while attacking and cover centre. Stay back, pretty self-explanatory, of course. We don't want this player going forward if he is a more defensive minded player, and cover centre means he'll primarily focus on defending those central areas because we've already got players covering the wide areas. Moving on to the left centre mid, guys, I use a more box-to-box style player. So on this player, we leave them on the default settings primarily. Just put them on get into the box for cross and cover centre. This is so this player will actually help when you are going forward. If you have them on balanced crossing runs, even though they're a centre mid, they don't get involved too much. So just having this extra player on get into the box for cross can actually help out, in my opinion. That being said, if you're getting cooked on the counter attacks, just leave this guy on balanced and then also have him on cover centre. So I hope that makes sense, guys. These are the instructions that I use on this player by default. Moving on to the left back, guys, I have him on balanced attack and overlap. This is what I was on about when I was on about my custom tactics. Basically, I do use a more narrow attacking width, so sometimes I do find myself playing a bit too narrow and I need that wider option to help me out and stretch out that opponent's defensive line. So balanced overlap does this, as they will always make the overlapping runs to give you that wider option and to help you out. So on your more attacking fullback, balanced overlap will really help you out, guys. For the other fullback, your more defensive one, stay back and overlap. This is so you always have at least 3 defenders back at a time, so you're still nice and defensively sound. But when you send this player on a run forward, they'll make the overlapping runs to add that extra width, the same way the other fullback does. As for the 2 centre backs, guys, I leave them alone, and the keeper, you can have them on comes for crosses and sweeper keeper if you like, but I prefer to just leave them alone. But yeah, guys, that is it for the video. If you have enjoyed or found this useful, please be sure to consider dropping this a like, as it does really help me out. Sub to the channel if you are new as well, and don't forget to turn on those notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch you all in the next video, guys. Peace out.